Well, hello, hello, hello to all you wisdom walkers out there. This is Jojo Maria and Saroma coming to you with another edition of Wisdom Walk Talk for February 2026. And without further ado, I'm going to open this program, as I always do, by honoring our ancestors. So I invite you to join in with me and to think of and speak out loud the names of those ancestors that you feel a bond to, a connection to, or an appreciation for. And yeah, we're going to call up the ancestors because we need them. We need them. Absolutely. And I'm so happy to be able for us to do this together. Of course, I start off with not just my family, but my teachers, Malidoma and Sobonfu Somé from Burkina Faso, land of the proud ancestors. God bless them for all of what they did to bring this incredible ancient wisdom back to life here in the West. Yeah. So here we go. Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is. May the ancestors hear our prayers. Ancestors, 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 we call out to you at the opening of 2026 and thank you for guiding us safely through our personal and collective challenges during 2025. Give us easy access to the wisdom we have gained and enable us to use that wisdom as we enter a new chapter on our never ending journey of self mastery. Enable us to become peaceful citizens and stewards of the new earth, daring greatly to live out our new narratives and knowing that these are divinely scripted for ourselves and for our world. This year, we again ask and thank you for granting us access to our higher timeline, where we know that unconditional love is the ultimate reward for our self mastery, and that happy endings are our birthright, and we can learn to experience them daily. And most important, ancestors, thank you for continuing to enable us to move forth from the dark ages of modernity by placing our heads below our hearts, valuing people over profits, and always choosing love over fear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I, of course, say, Amen. Ashe Aho Asaj, and so it is. Ashe. Well, here we are coming to the last Sunday of February. And if you follow the astrological interpretations and insights I share, you know that, yeah, January was crazy astrologically, cosmically. But the energies of February, which January was preparing us for, have just been amazing, absolutely amazing. I've actually had to adjust my diet again, and I think this time it's cemented. Yeah, I'm not going back to processed sugar. Well, maybe very, very occasionally, but yeah, I'm down to protein and vegetables, and I'm grateful. I am so grateful. But, when you change up like that and give up foods that have brought you comfort, yeah, you're gonna go through a process, so I definitely am. But I am so open to this new chapter, to this new era that we as humans have been given. It is time for us to write a new narrative, and I think that what I wanna talk with you about tonight is really, really very supportive of that of where we can be headed. Yeah, we don't have to be drifting or follow somebody else's stuff. It's where we can be headed. So I want to first acknowledge that this is Ramadan season, and to my friends who follow and participate in this very, very, very holy time. I'm thinking of you and sending lots of love and light. And it's also the Lenten season. And so those who follow Lent, and I am choosing to do that this year. That's why I changed up my diet too. But again, you know, blessings, blessings on this very, very holy 40 days of really fasting, praying, and giving up. Yeah, letting something go. And then we are in the final week of Black History Month here in February. And, it is 100 years that this got established, first as Black History Week, and then it took about another 50 years before it did really become acknowledged as a month. And this poster here that I'm sharing with you, this is usually what we think of for Black history. It's about a time to acknowledge the achievers, the Black achievers in this country, people who broke through the barriers, people who made a difference, people who showed that, yeah, Black people really are human. But I also wanted to share this with you because to me, this is also the Black history we need to be honoring. And of course, this is about chattel slavery, it's about Jim Crow, it's about how many people have died from that experience. And it's also about, how many people have died for there to have been created a Black Lives Matter movement. So I think it's important too that we honor all of Black history and in an effort to do what? Yeah, to remember and to keep growing, to keep healing, and keep moving ourselves and this country forward into the truth of what democracy and e pluribus unum is really all about. Ashe. Yeah. So 2026, we have a collective theme of having happy endings. It is time for us to put a focus on this, that this can be our reality. And I think we can have them daily. And I think if you don't have them daily, you don't have that perception of how, you are really in small but significant ways having happy endings, like waking up in the morning after a night, uh, you're not going to be able to have the bigger ones that we normally think about is a happy ending. And here we have the 5 collective commitments that support having happy endings. And tonight I'm going to focus on number 2 in our series, which is honor the golden rule. And what does that mean? It means the golden rule is not moral instruction, it's soul behavior. When I honor you, I honor myself. When I harm you, I create a disturbance in the field I also inhabit. So having happy endings requires self love. And if you're really going to practice the golden rule, you got to unlock that self love. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Here's my quote from the fabulous, amazing, celebrated feminist theorist, cultural critic, artist, and writer, Bell Hooks. Amazing. Um, and she said, one of the best guides to how to be self loving is to give ourselves the love we are often dreaming about receiving from others. Do not expect to receive the love from someone else you do not give yourself. Yeah. And I think, this is a very common one or known one that, nobody can love you anymore any less than what you love yourself. But it's something that we really, really have to take to heart and open up to learning, you know? And that's why tonight I want to go a little deeper into this notion of self love, our understanding of self love. So here's the overview. I'm going to talk about what self love really means beyond surface level self care. And then I'm going to talk about what can lock us out of self love, behaviors that reinforce self hatred, And then I'll provide you with 3 effective spiritual practices that help unlock self-love. And in that first part, I am gonna give you some contemplative questions. Yeah, always fun, right? Absolutely. So let's start. Authentic self-love beyond surface level self-care. Self-love as a responsibility, not an indulgence. Hmm. Hmm. What I mean by that. Yeah. So, I can remember back in the 90s when I was first taking on my self-mastery work consciously and and opening up to really walking my spiritual path. And this notion came up about self-love. And I looked at myself and how very nicely business dressed I was. I thought about the title and the position that I had in my career. I thought about this lovely apartment that I lived in. I thought about I had money in my bank account. I love myself. Why would I not love myself? Well, that's the surface level stuff. Yeah. And is it important? Absolutely. Absolutely. You wanna take care of all that external stuff because there's work in that. But the self-love that I'm talking about is internal and deeper. Yeah. And it definitely is a responsibility that we really do have to address on a daily basis. So I'm going to take you through these contemplative questions. I think I got 5 of them for you, and I think it's going to help you understand better what I mean by self-love. Yeah. So this is going to help you uncover where and how you may be locked out from loving yourself in a deep way. Here we go. Number 1, how are you experiencing self-sabotage? Um, again, self-sabotage we think of where somebody is really consciously like, I'm not going to work on time and I'm not being a good team member, things like that, which definitely are part of self-sabotage. But I'm talking about self-sabotage experience that we all do because there's always going to be something that we know is the right thing for us to do, but we avoid doing it. And whether that is addressing an addictive behavior, taking care of a health challenge that is calling to us, um, on and on and on. We all have this experience. So I want you to really take a moment and really think about that. Where is it that you are not doing what you know you need to be doing in order for you to be loving yourself? A lot of it can have to do with money. Like if you know you need to save up money so that you can do X, Y, and Z, or even just have a little cushion, but you're not doing that. You're spending the money on something else. Yeah, that's a form of self sabotage. You ain't loving yourself. Absolutely. Next, how do you doubt your gifts, your talents, and your genius? Ah, especially here in Western culture, so much is about competition and looking outside ourselves in order to know if we are worthy, if we are good enough, if we are strong enough. And so once we're doing that or in a position where that's expected of us, yeah, you're doubting, you're doubting your gifts, your talents, and your genius. I just think like the way the world of work is set up, where most performance appraisal, it's a situation where you're really put into a position to be figuring out how to please your supervisor. And this isn't always the case, but if somebody doesn't know how to manage or an organization is not set up to treat you as an individual and as a human, oh yeah, it gets into that. And so a lot of people have a lot of anxiety at year's end when they have to go through a performance appraisal. And, it's like the luck of a draw if you get somebody who's gonna make that experience into validating you, supporting you, asking you, "How would you like to grow yourself? What is it that you need so that you can be here and do your best work?" You know? Um, so anyway, that's just one example of doubting your gifts, talents, and genius. And I'll tell you a way that, shows up for me still is I work on my videos. I produce the content, the information, but I always stop and think, is this enough? Is this right? Will this be supportive for people? Is this going to be okay? I really do go through that. But I do pull myself out, otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you now and realize, like, stop it, are you kidding me? You know that what you have to say is gonna help somebody because it helps you, you know? So, again, this is something that we do, I think, very naturally because we are human, but it is a form of when the self-love is not showing up. It's locked. Yeah. Number 3, how are you experiencing unworthiness? Yeah, yeah. This is about how nothing ever works out for me, how maybe in a job situation, I get passed over, somebody else is getting accolades, but I've done all the work and I'm not getting any, that kind of thing. Or it just could be even in your home setting, where you desire emotional nutrition, you desire to receive back from family members what you put out, what you give, the kind of care and loving that you give, but it's not coming back. Yeah, that's like not feeling worthy. Yeah. And again, this is locking us out of self love. This is not loving yourself. 4, how are you choosing to shrink yourself? Yeah. Hmm. And, we will do this to fit in and to belong to our family, to a friends group, to, and even at work. Um, this is something I think we all do and really do need to be mindful of, really do need to think about, why am I choosing to do that? Why am I not having the courage to show up in the truth of who I am? What is it I'm afraid of? Yeah, ain't no self-love there. And then 5, how are you suffering and struggling with something from your past? Woo! I don't know anybody on the planet that doesn't have this experience because there's always things in the past that happen that we believe should never have happened to us, or we still are feeling stuck in the pain of that experience, of that situation. Um, it's like it happened yesterday. Um, I remember one time listening to my teacher Maladoma talk about something from his past, and the way he was talking, it was like it was happening in the moment. Yeah, so there was something that he was still stuck in, and when I realized that, I'm like, "Wow, okay, he can be stuck in something as powerful as he is." Oh, yeah, he is a human being. Absolutely. And so when we have this going on, we are not loving ourselves. Ain't no self-love in that. Yeah. And, I'm raising this up not to say this shouldn't be happening to you or this is bad. It's not about that. This is really an opportunity to broaden your perspective and your understanding of how, we are on a daily basis really challenged to love ourselves unconditionally. Yeah. Hey, Emily, SP722. She says, I demonstrate self love by not abandoning me anymore. I have family who live in the past. They project the past onto me, and I have healed and moved on. No more explaining, convincing. This spot on. Absolutely. And wonderful. Good for you. That's so important. Yeah. And of course, pray for them, forgive them, especially when that resentment comes up. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that very specifically in one of my talks this year because forgiveness is a two-way thing that we don't think about enough. Yeah, absolutely. She says, yes, yes, we have to do that forgiveness because we don't want to keep carrying the pain. And like you said, you found a way to heal and not make your family responsible for your misery. Exactly. So important. So important. So, anyway, again, now we get to understand that even if I dress well every day, I drive a beautiful car, I have a lovely home, I have good friends, I still have challenges for loving myself. Yeah. And so let's look at why that is. Why is it that despite what's going on externally, that I can still be experiencing a lack of unconditional love of myself? Yeah. So, what can lock us out of self love? These are several behaviors that reinforce self hatred. This is not an exhausted list, it is a list of some very common things. Yeah. So, all forms of trauma, physical, psychological, emotional, in utero, all forms of trauma. Invalidation, especially as children, if you're not being told enough that you are enough, you are worthy, you are good, you are capable. Yeah. If you're told the opposite of that more than you're validated, yeah, that will definitely lock out the love. Heartbreak, whether it is received or given. Yes. Betrayal and disappointment. Yeah. Because that really leads to heartbrokenness. Codependency. Yeah. Ain't no love going on there. Invulnerability. Yeah. That's that emotional vacancy. And we have some very celebrated, noted people because they are billionaires who have much invulnerability, much emotional vacancy. So the money can't buy it. Fear of failure and or success. I remember when somebody told me that I had a fear of success, and I thought they were crazy. And then I really thought about it, and broke it down, and I realized, oh my God, I am. Because whether it's failure or success, it's change. Something's going to change. Belief in suffering and struggling to achieve, right? That I have to give blood and oxygen if I'm going to make it to the top of the mountain, if I'm going to be, number one. And that's not true. You don't have to suffer and struggle. I'm not saying that you're not going to have to be disciplined, that you're not going to have to sacrifice at times when there's something that you'd like to do, but this is what's in front of you. This is an obligatory task you have to do. But to me, that's not suffering and struggling. That's just, accepting what it is you need to do to get to your goal. But suffering and struggling, and I know many, many people who have done that and are doing it in order to achieve. Yeah, ain't no love in that. Jealousy, received or given. because jealousy is all about comparing and making somebody else responsible for why you're not where you think you should be. Yeah. Ignorance. Yeah. Because when you just don't know, I mean, when you really just don't know, yeah, you definitely are going to find it very challenging to love yourself. And then control dramas as safety mechanisms, needing to be in charge of everybody and everything because of either post traumatic stress, because of, again, an issue that happened and now I can't trust that person, I can't trust that situation. Um, and so trying to be riding shotgun over everything, be in control. I know this one very well. I did this for many, many years, but that's not loving yourself. This locks us out of self-love. And of course, there are many more that come up, but I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. So that's why we will be challenged because I know everybody's got at least one of those, has experienced one of those. Everybody's experienced heartbreaking, you know. Um, so yeah, this is just a drive home that, the practice of self-love is a responsibility. It's more than what we have been thinking it is. Yeah. And Emily SP722, thank you for this. I forgive myself first. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, because of what I'm showing here with, what can lock us out is much in that which would have us judging, blaming, shaming ourselves, guilting ourselves. So it is important for us to do our forgiveness work if we're going to be able to love ourselves and to practice that on a daily basis. And that brings me to, in summary, self love is a daily responsibility, not an indulgence. We are human and imperfect, but we have the power to shift from hating ourselves to loving ourselves more deeply every day. And here are some practices, some spiritual practices that I believe can support us in unlocking that self love. And Emily was so right. The first one is forgiveness, releasing pain transferred onto you and releasing your resentment attachment. And just quickly with that, anytime, you know, we get wounded, betrayed, abused, called out of our name, whatever, ignored, all of that. That pain that we receive, not only is it hitting our heart, breaking our heart, but it's also planting a seed. And it's the seed of resentment. So that even when I get to, okay, I forgive them, I want to let go of their pain, we haven't let go of the seed. And the seed will stay in there and grow. And how do you know this? Think about anybody that you said you have forgiven and think about, are you still in a reaction? Do you still feel like what Venerable Monk Pranakara said, a burning in your chest? It might be in your tummy, it might be in your head. In other words, you're still getting a visceral reaction to that person. So that means that, yes, you've gone through the forgiveness of letting go of their pain, but you're still carrying your pain, that seed of resentment. And guess what? Any pain that is not transformed, where does it? Yeah, it gets transferred. So you are actually now the one transferring. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. This is very higher timeline level stuff I'm talking to you about, okay? Because a lot of people can't even make it to the forgiveness piece, the initial. God, enable me to receive your grace of forgiveness and let go of this pain. So this resentment piece, releasing that seed of forgiveness, and sometimes it grows into a vine. I know I had one, it was a vine all wrapped around my heart. I didn't even realize, but finally I got it. And it was with a family member. I finally got it, and, I did do first in the higher timeline, ask that person for forgiveness for me transferring my pain, and then I was able to actually, speak to them at a time when they were experiencing a loss, and I was able to do it without any judgment, no feel sorry, I just wanted to do what I would want somebody to do for me, and it was wonderful. But again, it takes that level of self-mastery so that then you're really not attached anymore to the person and what happened. You really get freed up. So, and like I said, I'll do a special wisdom walk talk on that because I think it's pretty powerful. Next is behavior boundary setting. Oh God, I love this one. Choosing to be sovereign over how you respond to negativity and other people's pain. This is turning the other cheek, a demonstration of not engaging. And this is what, again, the venerable monks demonstrated when they were walking in the deep south and people who believe that Jesus is God, the only God, told them, "You're going to hell because you don't believe in God." And their response was, "May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful." So they were able to set their boundary. They didn't let that other person's belief system and fears be what would have them get out of their peaceful day. Yeah, while they walking in the cold and the snow and rain. Yeah. So behavior boundary setting. We have to not make what somebody is doing about us. We have to be able to love ourselves enough so that when somebody is transferring that pain, we don't even take it on. You won't even have anything to forgive because you just won't even take it on. Yeah. And there's a lot of at times I see like a controversy or discussion about what does turn the other cheek mean? What was Jesus talking about? Do I have to be a victim after somebody slapped me once? I got to turn my cheek and let them slap it again? And I believe interpretations I've read that I agree with is no, it is not about you being a victim or giving away your power. It is really about not engaging. It is really about seeing whatever that person is doing as not worthy of you losing your peace. Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is very challenging, very hard. But it can be we can develop a discipline to do it. When this is with family members, oh my god. Oh my god, because we're so emotionally enmeshed with our family, more so than, even friends or associates or coworkers. But some family and some specific members, ah, yeah, it can really, really turn us around, turn us out. And again, by having behavior boundary setting as a practice that you're doing, it can really keep you from being a martyr, from being codependent, from expecting somebody to be something for you that you can't be for yourself, do something for you that, they're not capable of doing. I've spent years in the past trying to get something from some family members that they really just didn't have the capacity to give me and obviously weren't supposed to. That was for me to figure out and take on. So yeah, yeah, I had to definitely just leave that alone. Emily says, yes, because ultimately what others do has nothing to do with us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen. Amen, Jodha. Yes, yes. And thank you for being in the what did they call it? The choir, being up in the choir in the church and saying, yeah, right on, right on. Because again, these are truths that, we have to work on over and over and over again because we're human. Like I said, we are human, but we can work on this. And so this third spiritual practice is the Vipassana mindfulness meditation as directed by the Venerable Walk for Peace monks to train your mind not to go to battle, not to react, and give away your peace of mind. And, the monks did say that, oh, you're welcome, Emily. I'm hitting her heart tonight. Love it. Yeah. I feel you. I feel you. The monks did say that what they have shared and what they shared for 108 days, twice a day with people, that's just a beginning. That's just an opening, but it's doable. And what I'm finding, because I made a commitment for my annual commitment this year, the foundation is to grow my peaceful consciousness. Yeah. And so I have committed to doing the mindfulness meditation every day. I'm starting with 15 minutes and I plan to grow it to at least an hour, if not more, over the year. But what happens with this, it's an energetic thing. So it's not just about I'm still, I'm breathing in and out. I'm learning how not to respond to my monkey mind, just acknowledge it, then focus, get back to my breathing, not to engage with even a tickle, an itch, or some pain, some stiffness, to really, really, teach myself I don't have to react. But what's going on is something more than that. There is like you're accessing in your brain a place where you really have access to more energy, more time, and of course, more of feelings of peacefulness. Yeah. So, yeah, I should do a wisdom walk talk on that for people who are practicing and just to see, okay, how are you feeling now? Yeah, I'm actually keeping a little log of what's changing. What are the differences that I'm seeing? Because yeah, yeah, it is not okay for us to be, opening up our YouTube or our Instagram or that X thing, which I don't have, but you know what I'm saying. Any kind of social media or news, putting on the television to watch some news and seeing all of the corruption, all of the defilement of the Constitution, all of the insanity that is going on, all of the threats about war and, from, yeah. Anyway, it's not okay for us to be doing that on a daily basis and not have a way to heal ourselves from it. And so, when we engage with that negativity, it does something. And I love what the monk said. It's like this energy that we're putting out to the universe. And so that's what's going to come back. But these three things that I just gave you, let me grow them again, expand it. This is putting out a positive, loving energy. This is unlocking self love, forgiveness, behavior boundary setting, and mindfulness meditation, like in a Vipassana style. This is really, really putting out to the universe what we need to be putting out. And more of us need to be doing this so that the universe knows that, yes, we want things to change. We want them to shift, and we're willing to do our part to make it happen. Because as the monk said, it is an inside out job. Oh, somebody else has been saying that to you. How many years have I been saying that? Yeah. Self mastery, wisdom walk. Yeah. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. I did the contemplative questions and I am grateful to become even more aware of like where I am sabotaging myself. That was with the food because I knew I shouldn't have been eating processed sugar in the way that I was. I knew it like clear, but my body had to start giving me reactions. before I was like, "Okay, okay." And Lent helped that, yeah, I gotta give something up, let me give this up. So, it was a form of self-sabotage. It wasn't loving myself, not at all. So, yeah, give yourself time to do those contemplative questions. It'll be wonderful. And then, you sit with, okay, how do I if I am sabotaging myself, if I am feeling unworthy, etc., then I need to, yeah, decide how do I need to break out of this. And as I tell everybody who works with me one-on-one, the very first step is to open up and say a prayer. And not a prayer of begging, but a prayer of actually believing what I'm asking for is going to be delivered. So, Creator, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, enable me to unlock my self love for this particular issue. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You always say thank you because that's letting your God know that you believe you're worthy of receiving the support, the guidance, the wisdom, and the help that you need. Yeah, absolutely. So here's my Miss Sarah quote for you. Mama Sarah said, "Life always supports us in where we want to be. Life always supports us in whatever changes we want to make." Ashe. So, my darling wisdom walkers, that's what I have for you. And as always, I'm going to close out by first giving you a little update about the radio podcast with Black Hole Radio. Very unfortunately, the owner, Forrest, his heart health has worsened, and he's in a position now where he's really on the edge. And so he, with the energy that he has left, is trying to figure out, with the support of his family and colleagues, how he can get a platform for Black Hole Radio to continue. So I ask for prayers for Forrest, and for his health, and also for him to be able to achieve his goal. I told him, I of course, would be back on a Black Hole Radio platform as soon as it comes into fruition. And I believe it can. I believe it can. And I know there are people out there that appreciate just being able to listen and not have to put on put on a computer or go to a phone to, be able to get the podcast. So thank you, thank you. So I want to shout out to all my regular listeners out there and viewers, to all of you who have wisdom walk with me and you know who you are, and to my family here in the Midwest and those on both coasts, especially the ones in New York getting ready to get a big blizzard. To my spiritual kin and my medicine brothers and sisters around the world, and those who are listening in for the first time, I want to say thank you. Big thank you, because I couldn't do this without you and your willingness to listen and to watch. I am so grateful to be of service to you in this way, and I thank you. I thank you for your commitment to self mastery. And I got a hit from Ravi. Hey, Ravi. Thank you. Thank you so much, my darling. You're amazing. Absolutely. I think I got somebody else I need to refer to you, so I'll be in touch. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Emily, you are so, so very welcome. So very welcome. Yeah. Yes. You're very welcome. It's amazing. So, um, for March, what I have coming up on our schedule will be astrology for self mastery. I'm not going to live stream next Sunday. I'm going to give myself a break because I have to work in February a lot, like in January. But I will do Tuesday, March 3rd, to talk about the full moon lunar eclipse. in the sign of Virgo, which happens on my birthday, March 3rd. And then on the following Sundays, the 8th and the 15th, I'll give you the rest of the astrology for March. And thank God it's not a lot of aspects and it's not like, a new era showing up, planets coming together that hadn't shown up together in 6,000 years at the ground zero degree in a particular area of the sign. So we don't have monumental things, but it's still enough. And we got Mercury retrograde that starts on the 26th, and that will be happening to give us a good break. Also, the elemental wisdom for March, I'll do on Thursday. That's the first element, that's the beginning of the elemental week this year. So I will do that on March 5th. And then I will do our Wisdom Walk Talk on Sunday, March 22nd. Of course, I'll be talking about our third collective commitment, which is grief and praise. Yeah, looking forward to that one too. Yeah. Some quick promos. Of course, Queen Reverend Adara, her Heart for Healing service. Go online to her website, spiritismylife.com, click on events. And she does this the first and third Wednesday of every month, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And she is just refreshing and wonderful. She does such a beautiful meditation. It is just lovely. Also, Juanita and Amy Houghton, The Inner Ground Railroad, the 40-day journey to remembering soul and spirit. And the book is available online. And I know she didn't do audio yet, but I think she's working on the audio for it as well. And then, of course, the Wisdom Walk to Self Mastery, Ancient Wisdom for Transforming Pain. Yeah, what we definitely need to be doing. So, and I just hit the wrong button. I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, my loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. Now, have a healthy and safe mineral week, which we entered into last Thursday, communicating with, I'm sorry, not last Thursday. It's this week. What's this, the 22nd? 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're still in the mineral week. It's water coming up. And in this mineral week, it's about communicating with others at a deeper level to experience your ability for compassion, understanding, and forgiveness, as well as fifth dimensional relationships. I want you to continue to strengthen your immune system. I don't care what part of the country you're in. You must take good rest, get lots of fluid, wear a mask if you can. I went to a play last week. I had my mask on. I was clear. I'm not taking any chances. Yeah. Protect your nervous system by praying for others versus taking on their pain. And most importantly, my darlings, you are not disposable. And why is that? Yes, because you are divine. Good night now. Be well, be safe, be happy, be peaceful. Bye bye.